We have some smart money moves that you can consider right quick before the end of the year.
So, before you set any financial goals for 2026, it is really important to review how you performed in 2025.
Our recommendation is minimum 3 months of your monthly expenses set aside in a cash reserve.
If you have an HSA, another hot topic here at the Living Richly podcast, you can also max those out.
Hello, welcome back.
Hello, so good to see you, partner.
Great to see you too, partner, as always. Welcome back, everyone, to Living Richly with Curo, episode 84. My name is Ann McCabe. I am the CEO and a partner here at Curo Private Wealth, and I'm joined, as always, every week by my lovely partner, Atricia.
Hello, I am Atricia Roberts, COO and partner here at Curo. Thanks for coming back to check us out or checking us out for the first time.
Yes, we love and appreciate all of you. We also realize that your time is your most precious commodity. So we are so grateful that you are investing some of it with us. If this is your first time checking us out, our goal is to educate, inspire, and empower you on your financial journeys. And as it is almost the beginning of 2026, otherwise known as the end of 2025, we have some smart money moves that you can consider right quick before the end of the year, 7 of them to be exact, that you should consider. Maybe they work for you, maybe they don't, but these are all things that everyone should have on their radar to possibly implement before the end of the year.
Yeah. And I know we probably say this every year, but I can't believe we're already at the end of 2025.
It's crazy. It is
Just,
like
where did the time
absolutely.
go?
I know. It's almost Atrice's birthday too, y'all. Just FYI, in case you want to,
Yeah.
send flowers to the office or F1 tickets,
I love flowers.
new golf clubs.
Sao Paulo would be
Atricia is,
preferred, but I'm not
yeah.
picky.
Yeah. You know how there are some people that are like, oh, those people are so hard to shop for. I'm like, Atrice's not one of those. She's got plenty of interests and hobbies that, does have expensive taste. So you got to make sure the budget is high, but not hard to shop for.
Nope. No, I make it pretty easy.
As someone who, thinks about gifts for you, I can attest that is accurate. So, all right, shall we get into it, Atricia? You want to kick us off with the first smart financial money move you can consider for end of the year?
Okay, yes, I'm excited to start with our first year-end tip. So the first one, and we love making a plan here at Curo, but the first one is to review your spending and plan for the next year. So before you set any financial goals for 2026, it is really important to review how you performed in 2025. Did you spend according to your spending plan? Did you overspend in some categories? Did you stay on track with your savings goals? Did you eat out one time too many? So you want to go back and review, see how well you did. Maybe some categories need to be adjusted, but it's always a good barometer for what the next year should be. So make sure you go back. Many credit card companies, if you're like me and you do most of your discretionary spending on one card, many card companies actually summarize those for you at year end. It makes it really easy. So you can see what you've spent in all of those discretionary buckets and then start to plan for 2026.
Yes, love that. Love that report, although it's sometimes scary.
I know, it's terrifying. My dining
Some of the
out line
areas.
item is out of control some years.
Yeah, exactly. All right, number 2, it would not be a Living Richly with Curo podcast episode if we didn't talk about cash reserves. I mean, we always talk about cash reserves, so we're just going to go ahead and make this number 2. Check those cash reserves. Have they dipped a little over the course of the year, or was it your intention at the beginning of the year to build them up to a certain amount and we didn't quite get there? Either way, this is a great time to check in on your cash reserves. As we have talked about approximately 1 billion times, our recommendation is minimum 3 months of your monthly expenses set aside in a cash reserve. But usually for our clients, we're pushing that higher depending upon their situation to anywhere from 6 months to a year. But if you're just starting out, let's use that 3 month as the bare minimum. If you're already at 3 months, think about pushing it to 6 to 12, depending on your situation. This is also a good time to make sure your money is working as hard as possible for you. So even though it's cash and it's liquid and it should be FDIC insured, you also want to make sure you are getting your fair share of interest. So, is this money in a high yield savings? If not, consider moving it to a high yield savings. The day we are recording this is December 10th. The Fed is actually meeting today. So, these numbers may change by the time this episode goes live. But right now, with current rates, you should be at a minimum of 3.5% on your high yield savings. Again, that may dip because the Fed may end up reducing rates, but let's just say around 3.25% to 3.5% is what you should be getting on your savings. And if you're not, consider making a move.
Great advice. And next year, when we start our merch line, Do You Have Cash Reserves is going to be on a coffee mug.
I know. It's so funny. I was thinking about we have to come up with a cute, funny line about cash reserves for our merch for sure. If you have any ideas, listeners and viewers, let us know.
Yeah, reach out. Okay, so now our third tip is to max out those tax advantage savings accounts. So think about your employer sponsor retire plans, or maybe you're self-employed and you're monitoring your own retirement plan. You want to max out your employee contributions before December 31st. So as a reminder, the maximum contribution for your 401k as an employee is $23,500. If you are over the age of 50, though, you do get a catch up for this year. If you have an HSA, another hot topic here at the Living Richly podcast, you can also max those out. So that number for this year is 4,300 for individuals, and then 8,550 for families, plus a catch up if you're over age 55. You get to max out another $1,000. So now is a good time to review where you are with your contributions. Make sure you max out as much as you can before the year closes.
Number 4, we're going to talk about tax loss harvesting and also tax gain harvesting. And I feel like a lot of people don't talk about the gain harvesting as much as they talk about the loss harvesting. So let's start with losses. Even though the broader markets are up year to date in 2025, we did have quite a large correction back in April. And just because the broader S&P 500 is up does not necessarily mean that each and every one of your investments is up. So if you do have what are called unrealized losses, which is just losses on paper, the value of the investment that you made is lower than when you made it, you are able to sell that investment, reinvest the proceeds in something similar. You cannot go into the same position. That is called a wash sale rule. The IRS will disallow the loss if you do that, but you can go into something similar and you can take the losses for tax purposes. You can then take a portion of those losses and offset income. You can also offset gains either this year or in the future. So very powerful strategy. We've talked a lot about this on the pod as well. But on the flip side, let's say for whatever reason, this year you are in a lower tax bracket than you normally are. Maybe you retired or you took a sabbatical for a year and didn't get any income. Whatever the case may be, if you find yourself in a lower tax bracket, harvesting gains can be a good idea. This is where you've made a lot of money on investments, but they're unrealized, they're on paper. You can sell those investments to lock in the gains, and then you can rebuy those investments that it resets your cost basis. So if you bought, a security at $100 a share, now it's trading for 200, you can sell it, buy it back at 200, and now your new cost basis is 200. And that can be a powerful tool if you do find yourself in a lower tax bracket situation this year.
Yep. And we talk again a lot about the whole thesis of investing. We want to buy low and sell high. That's very sort of basic level education of investing. And sometimes when you sell high, capital gains are involved and the taxes play a part of it, but we don't want that to dissuade us from harvesting when it makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. You can also harvest and actually have quite a bit of income and pay 0% capital gains taxes. So again, if you're in a
Hmm.
lower income situation this year, you could possibly sell those investments and lock in gains and not actually pay any capital gains taxes, which is pretty crazy.
Yeah, yeah, kind of weird, but can work to your advantage. Okay, so our fifth is to use your FSA, that is your flexible spending account, which is a little bit different from the HSAs that we love here. HSAs, as you know, are individually owned, they're portable accounts. You use them at your leisure. FSAs are different in that they have a use it or lose it sort of restriction on them. So for many of those accounts, you have to use the funds in them before the end of the year for medical expenses. So now is a good time. Do you need to get your eye exam done? Do you need to have some dental work done? Are there some prescriptions you need to buy? You may want to consider using the funds in your FSAs before the end of the year. And of course, if you have nothing else to spend it on, there are many FSA eligible products available at Sephora.
I mean, just saying. You heard it here,
Just
y'all. You're
saying.
welcome. You're welcome. If you needed an excuse to shop at Sephora, here you go on a silver platter.
Here you go. But again, you don't want to waste it. So it's your money. If you don't use it, it's going to go away. So you might as well.
Yeah. To be clear, make sure that the purchases at Sephora are FSA eligible. Not
Yes,
everything is FSA eligible,
correct. Yeah,
but
blush
there
doesn't
are items
count.
that are. Yeah. Exactly. All right. Awesome. Number 6, let's talk about planning charitable giving thoughtfully. So this is another topic we talk about a lot on the podcast. And if you listen to last week's episode with Shauna, who is the tax goddess, she was explaining one of the changes that is going into effect in 2026 around charitable giving and charitable donations. So number one, when you're thinking about charitable giving, think about donating highly appreciated securities. So let's say you have a stock or ETF or mutual fund that has appreciated a lot. Instead of donating cash to a charity, you could consider donating that stock, that highly appreciated stock. And that way you can keep your cash. You can give money to the charity. They sell the investment, don't pay taxes because they're a nonprofit. And you get to also give your gift and be charitably inclined. So that's something to consider if you have highly appreciated stocks or investments in general, and you are charitably inclined. We've also talked a lot about donor advised funds. These are investment accounts where you can donate money, cash, or securities into a donor advised fund, take the charitable donation today, but then you can take your time to make gifts over the course of many years. So that's a very powerful tool as well. The other tool that we talk a lot about is called bunching your gifts. So let's say that on an annual basis, your goal is to gift $5,000. In some cases, from a tax perspective, instead of spreading out the $5,000 every year, it makes sense to bunch into one year. So let's say year one, you donate $10,000. Year two, you don't donate anything. Year three, you go back to the $10,000. So that's called bunching your gifts, and that can be beneficial from a tax perspective. And then we just wanted to remind you that starting next year in 2026, there is a new floor for charitable deduction. So you are not allowed to deduct the first 0.5% of your adjusted gross income. So again, back to those donations, if you are charitably inclined and you're planning to make gifts next year, consider pushing those into 2025 where we don't have that floor rule in effect yet.
Yeah, great advice. Thanks so much, Shauna, for all the great tips around charitable gifting. But
Yes.
it is something that you can really take advantage of, even for those people who are not, or who are in the fortunate position to not need to use their required minimum distributions for their own cash flow planning. You can also gift those and have it, not count towards your ordinary income for the tax year. So it's always nice when you can do good for the world and then it also helps you out. Okay. So, our last and seventh financial move that you should consider is a review of your estate plan, of your insurance policies, and of your beneficiaries. So, these are things that I find with clients that are often afterthoughts until they become a real issue for some reason. So, you always want to make sure that you're reviewing those things. So, you want to check your 401k plans, your IRAs, even your non retirement accounts to be sure that one, they have beneficiary designations, or if they do not, or if they do, that they're current and they still work to your actual estate plan. We've talked on the Living Richly pod before about situations where ex spouses are still listed as beneficiaries on accounts. Remember, a beneficiary designation is going to override anything written in your will. So you want to make sure you're constantly reviewing those, that they're accurate. You also want to make sure that you do regular reviews of your estate planning documents. Is the power of attorney still set to the person you want to make those decisions for you? Does the will still designate how you want assets to pass? Have you acquired new assets that haven't been accounted for in your will or trust? So, the end of the year is always a good time to review those sorts of things and determine if changes need to be made in the following year.
Yes, especially that ex-spouse.
Especially the
Remove,
ex-spouse.
make sure, not on the beneficiary designation anymore.
Exactly. So if you were divorced or separated in 2025, make sure you review that as soon as possible.
Yes, exactly. One bonus thing that I also thought of, kind of back to the FSA and sort of medical expenses, if you are in a high deductible plan and you happen to have already hit your deduction for the year, like me, I had the ER visit earlier this year. I easily hit my deductible, with that visit alone. But if you've hit your deductible, this is also a good time to consider maybe any of those, procedures or medical visits where you do have to come out of pocket, because January 1st, our deductibles will reset. So that was one thing too that I thought of as a little bonus.
Yeah, fantastic advice.
Yeah. All right. Well, we hope that is helpful. Again, not each and every one of these financial moves is going to apply to everyone, but hopefully you can choose a couple that apply to you and make sure that you take action. Make sure that you don't just listen to this episode and say, oh, that sounds cool. We need you to actually take some action here, because it's not going to happen by itself.
Very true. You got to be proactive. Got to make the plan and then you got to work the plan.
Exactly. Put some time in the calendar to get her done.
And then call us if you need help.
Yes, of course. Always happy to help. All right, partner, what do we have for a closing thought today?
Again, you know me, I always struggle with the closing thoughts, but when our listeners will hear this, it'll be the day before my birthday. Yikes.
Yep.
Oh, oh. And the numbers now just don't even feel, but it always makes me think of, I mean, my dad used to say it all the time. I'm sure older people say it a lot. Is that you're only as old as you feel. And I think that I am blessed and fortunate enough for that to be an accurate assessment for me. Like sometimes I don't physically or even mentally feel as old as the calendar may suggest, which I take as a positive thing. There are many times, and I think I've even joked about this in our team meetings, like, who let me do this? Like, who said I was old enough and mature enough to actually be doing these adult things? So it just made me think about that, right? Like, you're only as old as you feel. And so I've like set about making sure that every year, I start a new trip around the sun, that I see that as a positive, right? And not let the numbers overwhelm me. I think sometimes women get very sort of held back by the number, like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm, 40 this or 50 this or 60 this. But you're only as old as you feel. So as long as you set about making sure that you feel good and you're taking care of yourself and staying as healthy as you possibly can, then every new trip around the sun should be a good time and should be something to look forward to. So that's my closing thought for the day.
Yeah. And shout out to your sister who keeps you young.
Oh, she's fighting literally for her life. That's what she said. She was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with you.
Everybody should have
Yeah,
a
she loves it.
Teresa
Okay,
sister in their
boomer.
life. Yeah.
Okay, boomer.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, love her. Okay, my closing thought for the day is I actually read something really interesting that I wanted to share with you all, and that is everybody knows, and I'm sure you've read this or heard this, that going out into nature can be very beneficial for your mental, your emotional state, right? So if you find yourself in a very stressful situation or you're nervous or anxious or sad, just even taking a walk outside for 10 or 20 minutes can dramatically, reduce your blood pressure and reduce your stress and just make you feel better. But I actually read some research that suggested that even looking at nature can do the same thing, which I think is so fascinating. And the reason I'm sharing this is because if you are in the DC metro area, also known as Alaska right now,
So cold.
it is so cold. So I don't know about you, but I am not going outside for many walks right now. It's also dark at like 3 p.m.
Yeah.
So here's the good news. You could pull up like a nature video on YouTube if you're feeling, sad, depressed, anxious, stressed, fill in the blank. And apparently, research suggests that it will have the same positive effects on you. So there you go. That is
Really?
your nature walk is just looking at nature. Yeah, like pull up a great nature video. There's so many amazing nature videos on YouTube. So, or whatever, Google pictures or whatnot. The point is that even just observing nature
Mhm.
apparently can have that same response, the same responses in our body. So I thought that was really cool. And again, for days like right now where it's not very enjoyable to go outside, um, that I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's such a cool fact, and it's so great to know. I actually really love those, bird feeder videos when people set up
Ooh,
on their bird feeders and you just see the birds. I can watch that for like an
I
hour.
I same. I love watching birds. Like birds fascinate me the way that they move about and oh, they're
Yeah,
beautiful and yeah, I agree.
okay. So nice to know. That can
Yeah,
help lift my serotonin levels.
there you go. That and those lights you can get, right? Like you can get those
Right.
those sun lamps or whatever
Yeah.
that make you
Yeah,
feel better
people
in
need it.
the
I mean, you
winter.
drive home after work these days, and it's like driving at midnight. It's so dark here, and it's so
Yeah,
cold.
I know. Exactly. So, there you go. There you have it.
Thanks, I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, everyone. Well, thank you so much, as always, for spending some time with us. We appreciate you, love spending time with you, love our community. So keep the feedback coming, keep the reviews coming, keep the ideas coming. And until next time, when Atricia will be 1 year older.
1 year older. Live richly.
Thanks again for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to subscribe and share it with someone who might benefit from it. Friendly reminder that this is for informational purposes only. For additional information, please visit us at www.curoprivatewealth.com. Until next time, live richly.